what's going on, guys? Back at you with another bonus episode, talking about the fantasy league that I'm the commissioner for. As you can see, we got a special guest here. Jeff's with us again.
Thanks for having me.
Jeff is also in this league. He's been stirring up a trade today, so we'll go into some details about that. Talk about the standings, where we're at through 3 weeks, and Ian, what do you think?
I mean, I got my first win,
Boom.
I'm ecstatic.
Boom.
We got our first trade, first win. We got a little shake-up in the standings. I mean, Jeff's 2-1. That's huge, and made a big trade. I mean, that's the winners right there. They're willing to make a gutsy move when they're already winning. I mean, Tom, you're 2-1. A lot of 2-1 teams that look pretty decent. I mean, I'm finally out. I'm almost in the middle. I'm almost in the middle.
You're moving yourself up.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's not too much that happened. Again, it's going on week 4. But it's good to have a trade, and that's why we got Jeff on here. So what was this trade you two made?
Yeah. Crazy. It was the two of us that made the trade. What a week to have Jeff on.
Yeah.
But, Jeff, you wanna tell him what it was?
Yeah, I mean, for last 2 weeks, you and I have been kind of going back and forth, kind of figuring out what we need and what we want and what makes sense.
Almost made one happen last week.
Yeah, and I took the loss from you. Yeah. That was the loss. So I had to figure something out. But I'm a big fan of Debo, and he wanted Chris Olave, and so we're on the same page there. And what we originally proposed, Tom didn't love, so we just kind of held off. It was Olave for Debo, straight up, right?
Yeah, and then I think we talked about adding running backs in.
Yeah, and then of course Debo went off this past week, and Tom texted me early Friday morning. He's like, "Nah, I'm good," and I'm like, "I don't blame the man. Like after that performance, I get it." So this morning, looking at the league, seeing I'm 2-1, jumped up the rankings a little bit. I saw a notification come across my phone that we got a trade. And I was trying to think, what is your Diggs?
I sent an offer. Can you Diggs it?
Can you Diggs? That's what I was trying to come with. So Can you Diggs it came across my phone, and it was all right. It wasn't sexy, but it was all right. So I kind of rejected it and countered with them. So I offered him to go with Kamara and Olave. Nope, sorry. Let me rephrase that. Kamara and Keenan Allen, my apologies. Yep. And then I got in return Debo and Zach Moss. I think Moss is going to have a great year. I think that's the backbone to Indy's team right now, and it's not a bad replacement for Jonathan Taylor. So that was this morning's trade. I'm pretty satisfied with it.
Yeah, I'm happy.
I think it was a very even trade. I don't think there was a team. There was no really discussion around it because obviously a league vote, everyone was pretty straightforward with a thumbs up. Yeah. So majority approved that, and like I said, I don't think it made your team any better or worse, and vice versa. I think it was an even trade across the board.
I think it was even. I think it filled gaps that each of us had. So that's what you want to do with a trade. You want to make both teams better, which I think we succeeded in. And honestly, I feel like you've been in the league, 3 or 4 years now, Jeff?
4 years, yeah.
I feel like me and you have made a trade every year.
Yep.
Just because it's so easy, you're somebody who will counter a trade,
mm-hmm.
Which I can I know Ian appreciates too. A lot of people in this league just, no, I'm not doing that, and then you never hear from them again. So, literally, I shot a trade offer to Jeff. Within 15 minutes, he countered with something. Within 5 minutes, I accepted. Yeah. That's how it should be.
And it makes the league interesting, right? At the same time, I've been in several leagues year after year where people just don't want to trade. They're happy with the team. And I'm like, there's always opportunity across the board, myself and, other members. And it just makes the league a little bit more interesting and makes it a little bit more...
Makes it fun.
Fun, yeah. And, it makes you want to return. You know what I mean? I've left leagues where, it's we draft. You never hear from anyone ever again. Yeah. And it's well, here's your money. It's what type of league is that? I'm all about the live. I like doing a live draft. I like being involved. And, back to the trade is, Kamara's coming off his suspension. And there is a risk, but there is also a reward on both sides. But like
Yeah.
we know what the production Moss has been doing, and I do think that's going to be consistent through the year. And we don't know, and it could hurt me that Kamara just balls out, and which he probably will. At the same time, it is Kamara, and it's just it's that gamble. But
I was taking into consideration, obviously, he's been there for a while.
Yeah.
His past, and then Jamal Williams going on IR.
Yeah.
that's what my concern was. If he didn't go on IR, would you accept that trade?
No.
Yeah.
No,
See,
I would have tried to get somebody else besides Kamara.
Yeah, I'd be in the same boat as you because at the same time, like
Still
Williams has
on
been a
line.
stud when he was with Detroit. You know what I mean? Like he can, no matter what team he's on, he figures it out, and he definitely is an RB2. But he's also going to get you those touches. He's going to get you those carries, those yards, and those touchdowns.
For sure.
So I think it was at the right point at the right time. Like I'm still surprised we got rid of Debo just because of what he did, but it helps me because I'm running with Brock Purdy as my quarterback, and
Exactly. Yeah.
not too many people like to stack the same team, but I have Purdy, I have Kittle, and now I have Debo. So
That's how I am. I love a stack.
And
I have
San
Allen
Fran's
Diggs.
defense.
and San Fran's defense. It's
If you ever
funny.
think
Hate
San
it,
Fran's
I-
gonna pop off.
You
You got a 70% chance of getting a touchdown.
And like I said, in the other cast, it's it's a scrimmage this week for them. So, you got to be careful what you do with that too, because the league that I run, my one brother-in-law went all in this year on Cincinnati's team.
Ooh.
Burrow,
Yeah.
you have Chase, and then you had Mixon all together as one. So right now that team,
tough.
it's hurting. It's hurting because Burrow is not popping the way you want him to pop.
No.
Except for this week.
We'll see.
Except for his caps.
Lock, and
His
rock.
caps.
He's gonna drop it, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I like the trade for both teams. I like the trades that do make both teams
Yeah.
not necessarily better, but not worse. Like
We're
no one
not out
lost
there trying to
on that.
screw somebody over,
Yeah.
right? I mean, like we both said, I think it made both teams better. It filled gaps that we
Yeah.
both had. So yeah,
And I think it makes sense when you know what you're working with too. Like, if you bring someone on that may not necessarily be as familiar with fantasy football, like there's one thing of knowing football, and you can rattle off several players from different teams, but then there's also correlating that into fantasy football. Like, for example, you can have, whoever you want to think of, for example, that may put up, like, perfect example, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like he's a good quarterback, but he's great in fantasy.
right.
I wouldn't call him a great quarterback,
But fantasy.
but fantasy, he's a great quarterback. So, like, those things help, too, to have that little bit of knowledge, and that comes with time and effort.
I agree. I mean, knowing football and knowing fantasy football, I think are completely different. So there's one person in my league, right? Their team is not. They're 1-2. Like they're not the best team, right? There's one person on their team who's an absolute stud. The rest of their team is average, right?
Yeah.
I messaged them about a trade for that person.
Yeah.
Because for that person, it's Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Right. You can get 2 or
Right,
3
yeah.
solid people for Tyreek Hill to even your team out.
Yeah.
And before I even, I messaged, hey, want to make a trade? He's like, sure, but this person is untouchable.
Yeah.
You're not going to make your team better then.
Yeah.
The rest of Tyreek might get you 35, 40 points. The rest of your team is not doing anything.
Yeah, and that's it.
That's
Can't
why
afford that. No.
there's a big difference in knowing football and knowing fantasy football.
Yeah. Why don't you give them a little taste of what we can win there?
Yeah, so this is what we play for in my league. Boom. And a ring.
Nice.
But Jeff and Ian are both hoping to have their name engraved on the side here after this season. So we'll see. I know Pat's won once.
Yep.
I've won 2 years.
Yep.
So see how it goes.
And then hopefully Jordan gets a win soon, being the only 0-3 team.
But he doesn't have a bad team. Like,
No.
if we look at it, going into this year, I don't mind. Granted, I don't know what his draft order was, but at the same time, you're running with Lawrence. You got Bijan, which that's always been a discussion of the group chat of who likes Bijan versus who don't. And I'm in the middle. I'm neutral with him.
Yeah.
I think a few more weeks will kind of solidify where what attention he deserves.
Yeah.
But Waddle, he was injured, but I still like Waddle, even though Hill's getting a ton of attention. Buka, well, no one knew about him heading into Cup's injury. Pickens, well, we had that conversation on the last episode or the previous conversation. That's get a different quarterback, a different conversation. I mean, altogether, it's not bad, but it's who you're playing. It's
not
timing.
a team.
It's timing for sure. And like you may play a team who this week might have everyone in Miami. If you had everyone in Miami,
that was me last week. So I played Tim. He's 3-0. If I played anybody else, I won.
Yep.
But he had Mostert and who just went off. And I only lost by like 10 points, but I mean he put up almost 170.
And then if you played Keenan Allen this week too,
Yeah.
you were screwed because he put up I think 46 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of going back to our trade. That's where the even trade is. For Debo and Keenan Allen. Yeah, Debo hasn't put up 46 points yet.
Right.
But if I can take consistency of 20, 25 points per week, I'll take that consistency and miss out on that 45-point week. But if I'm consistently getting 20 to 25 with one receiver, to me, that's a solid trade.
For sure.
I mean, I don't regret that at all.
No.
And I do think Moss will have an iffy game here and there, but that comes with any player. Maybe a side of Tyreek Hill this year, but I think overall it was a really good trade. I like trading
I'm happy with it.
where it makes sense.
Even last year, I think
I'll give
me
them
and you
a
had like the biggest blockbuster trade.
Yeah. And that got you. Well, didn't get you to W last year, so
I won last year.
Did you? I thought Pat did.
I won it all last year.
Sorry, Pat. So I helped you to the
You
championship.
did. You gave me Joshua Allen and Devontae Adams.
So let's hope this year it's you leading me to a championship.
Well, we'll see how it goes. I
Yeah.
won't be mad with that. But yeah, anything else you guys want to add?
No, just more trades.
More trades? Send trades.
Yeah. Some trade.
I was working with
Realistic.
Ian all week on a trade. Couldn't pull the trigger though.
No.
We worked on it for a short time. I just don't,
I'll send some tonight.
I heard you were sending him Mahomes though.
So that may happen, and here's why. So I have Mahomes starting,
Yeah.
but as you know, I am on the Purdy train, and I do have Purdy available to start. I know you were a little salty and a little upset about the actions I decided to make in the draft.
Yep. You only took them to block me.
And you're absolutely right. But the defense wins championships, my man. So right now, I'm working with Mahomes. You're working with Kelsey. You have the ability now to come to me and really pick my team apart to what makes sense. Help me help you kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And I think it could be there. But I'm not opposed to sending you to, Mahomes. I got my man Brock leading the charge. Be faithful to the Bay,
I'll get you something.
All right.
I'll get it tonight.
Perfect. So check back next week. We'll see if they actually did make a trade happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know what you guys think about the trade. Let us know if you think either of us won the trade or if you agree with us that you think it's pretty even. But yeah, check back next week for another bonus episode. We'll go through week 4, standings, reactions, any trades that happen. So yeah, like, subscribe, and as always, if we ain't your commish, stop being a bitch. Woo!